We're back from our break, folks. What a game number 2 between Wildcard and Immortals. We thought Wildcard cracked the code and found the answer to all their problems, but out of nowhere, an amazing performance from not only just Keith, but Pretty, finishing the game strong on his Azir. We're looking at game 3 now, and all the momentum is riding on Immortals Academy. And Cubby,
Watch Pretty in this
lord.
team fight, man. This is just
My
such beautiful play coming out from the mid laner of Immortals. Finding the angle, dodging out on the event horizon, taking out 3 people of Wildcard, including the big carry of Team Luke. And oh my goodness, I was jumping up and down about that game, man, just because the team comp coming out from Wildcard, the Vygar, the fact that these cages, these event horizons, and then if that team fight turns it, and then this from Xeno, he doesn't have the Lantern to bail him out this time around. Daption had been so on point with those for the entire game. He got chunked out before that fight, just wasn't able to get back in time. Ends up going over to Immortals, who, man, I mean, both teams after that game, no matter if you win or lose, you are just reeling, right? Because that is a stressful game. If I'm stressed out here on the cast, I can only imagine how the players and the coaches are feeling. And so hopefully those teams, coaches, they were able to get deep breath, take some water, reset, and deliver what we expect to be like banger of a game 3 too. Because, man, the first 2 games of this series, I was expecting it to be close, but they've delivered some of the closest matches that we've seen throughout all of Proving Grounds. And now, game 3, winner stays in the tournament, makes it through the losers bracket for one more round, loser goes home. Everything's on the line for both of these teams. And if anything about game 1 or game 2 has taught us anything, we've learned that this is going to be a close one. This is going to be tense, and I'm excited to get into it and see who ends up coming out on top.
Yeah, a lot of different things have happened across these 2 series. The first game, we all talked about Quackers, Darius, and how the rest of the team on Wildcard was able to play, especially with that on-hit AP Varus. But game number 2, unfortunately, didn't really work out as much as we did. Yes, Tapoon went down a couple of times, but he wasn't the raid boss you should be worried about. Pretty on Azir. Man, this guy just popped off, and not to mention how many mid-bans did he take just to get that pick. He looked absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
And now, he's got to be on fire for this game number 3. The winner, like you said, will move on, but they will have a game against 100 Thieves Academy, who are looking at one of the top contenders. So even though, we may or may not get a satisfying ending, the battle doesn't stop there for both these teams, but these teams are playing with all their hearts right now, and I cannot wait to see on how both these teams play. Wildcard have decided on blue side for this 3rd game. What are your thoughts on that one?
Okay, so switching things up a little bit. That tells me that they want to get Udyr for Panda. That's been a champion that's been, he hasn't been able to get his hands on yet. It was denied game 1 as Potluck grabbed that on blue side himself, and it's been Panda's best champion. He is on the Udyr. He is in 8 games. He's 6-2 on the champion with a 4.6 KDA. It's his most played, his best record, his best KDA, and a champion that, Panda likes to try some crazy things in the jungle. He likes to throw a couple curveballs, try some cheese, and with Udyr, the fact that you have so much tempo and so much early power, thanks to his clear and the numbers in his kit, he's able to pull off some of that stuff more often than not. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Wildcard really prioritize that for Panda. That said, that Thresh Varus duo, I know it got blasted in Main in the last game, but Daption and Team Luke in those fights really brought it back with some good play. Every single one of those fights just played so just playing it razor thin. I mean, the fight where Wildcard escaped with like 4 members, like 500 HP, and like then Vygar just started landing stun after stun with the event horizon, that cage, and then runs out of mana, and that's how Immortals is able to come back in that game. I mean, that's just the craziness of game 2. Not to mention game 1 where we had the Quacker Darius with Luke also popping off on the AP Varus once again. But man, I mean, what a series so far for these first 2 games, and I just hope that both teams can continue to put their best foot forward and play some good League of Legends going into the game 3, because these first 2 games have been back and forth. It's been exciting, and I'm hoping we get the same exact thing for game 3. I'm sweating, you're sweating. I think hopefully everyone at home is sweating as well, because this is a close one with a lot of stakes on the line.
And, because of that, unfortunately, I will have to say, I think the early game, we're not really going to get anything too crazy, right? Last game, we just saw the 2-man invade coming in.
Dude, we've had 2 Scuttle Crab, burger flips.
Yeah.
How are you saying that we're not going to get another one here?
Maybe teams just decide to play it safe, right? Because now, you got to realize, everything's on the line. One more loss is all it takes, Cubby. And, we could be seeing the exact opposite, but also, on the other hand, why am I as well? I'm super hyped for this final game as well. And I'm also really looking at this Thresh, which I think Daption so far has been a consistent factor across both these games, just being able to land hook after hook in crucial picks on the top Tapoon, who originally was carrying like the most gold in the game, was able to neutralize him. But unfortunately, Pretty on that is here was what it took. And now you have to wonder, if I'm Immortals, I'm looking to build a composition around Pretty with getting him the best possible pick if you can. While over in the jungle, you said it. Maybe we see that Udyr B1, or maybe we see Daption on something else if he gets that Thresh banned away, or maybe even Xeno could really get his hands on something like the Syndra or something like the Orianna that, in my opinion, he's been super successful with whenever I've seen him play. So I'm really looking forward to his upcoming draft. I'm sure there's a lot more on the table now that Wildcard has that B1. They have so many picks they can prioritize. We've seen some crazy B1s before. I remember a series where Orianna B1 suddenly became a thing, right? Because of how important she was in these fights. We have to really wonder, are we going to be seeing people continuing to follow the meta, or are we going to continue to follow the trend of this series? Really, that's really what is the most fun part about to me in a lot of these drafts.
Yeah, I remember that Orianna B1 as well, because it was Barrage versus Solafide, and it was first picked by Barrage. They ended up winning that game 5 on blue side. So, hey, a lot of power. You get a champion that you want, you're comfortable with, whereas on the red side, obviously, you're guaranteed a couple counters. You could also blind something and throw a couple bans at it as well in the second round of draft. And excited to see how these two teams play it, as that was a long game. We're a little bit winded after that. I'm sure the players and coaches are as well. We're giving them an extra minute or two to make sure that we have everything sorted out before we hop into the draft for this one. Fortunately, it does give us enough time to kind of recap and talk about exactly how we got here. I would say, like, in that game, I mean, the fact that Wildcard was still in it after being at a 4K gold deficit after plates went away at the 14-minute mark, just managed to find Event Horizon after Event Horizon, and man, if I am Tapoon, game 1 I had to play Aatrox into Darius, game 2 I had to play Cho'Gath into, like, Vigar Thresh, and, like, he just couldn't move for the entire game. I just amazed that, he was able to, keep things grounded, keep things calm, cool, and collected, as we heard Jensen, the coach of Immortals Academy, say was so important to their team. And I think that, his message to his team that he wanted to, have shared on broadcast is the fact that, like, if they're able to just stay centered, stay calm, they're going to be able to come out with a win. It got really close to going in Wildcard's favor there, but the fact that Immortals were able to tie everything together, I know it was a stressful game. I know they probably have a lot to talk about, but that's still a nice little bow that you can tie on top of the package and walk away with that Game 2 win, right? The fact that you were able to come together as a team and figure this one out, that's exactly what Immortals needed to do. Backs up against the wall. Is once again, they have another do-or-die game they have to come out with on top for this one.
Yep, and I'm really excited to get our hands on this draft now. Folks, we are going to be heading into the draft in a little bit, and Cubby, this is it. Last game of the day, last game of the week, but we have a lot more in action in the next couple of minutes as we are now in the draft. And let's see what Wildcard wants to start things off with.
And for me, it is all about setting up Panda for this Udyr. And I would not be surprised if Immortals Academy, they've done their homework throughout the series. I would not be surprised that ends up on their ban list. Another option for Wildcard could be that Seraphine, right? We saw it. Immortals took it game 1. And they didn't get the win. They banned it away on blue side themselves on game 2. Something that Wildcard has shown success with. Xeno's undefeated on it. And Daption, known for his Enchantress play as well, is an option, as we do see the Udyr come out of the ban list for Immortals. So do not want to give Panda that champion. He has been very good on it throughout all of Proving Grounds, and good reason to take it away from him in this one.
Right, and now you have to really wonder, does the Seraphine get banned away here? I'm sensing maybe a potential handshake trade here, right? The Hecarim is still available, and now I don't imagine Immortals Academy will want to ban that away, right? Since it's something, maybe Panda doesn't really want to take up, and we'll have to really see. Graves getting banned away kind of tells me, now you have to make that decision. Do you want to give up the Seraphine? Do you want to give the Hecarim? Or do you want to do a handshake trade? We'll have to really see on what Immortals Academy really do decide on. Graves gets taken away from Potluck again. That's one of his most comfortable picks here. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw something maybe like an Orianna ban here or a Seraphine ban here if they Wildcard wanted to hit the mid lane pool here.
Yeah.
Or it could be a Rel ban, yeah, but at the same time, we haven't really seen Rel a bunch. in the series. So now Seraphine's going to get taken away here. That's going to mean, Hecarim is currently up and available. If wildcard game, do you want to take it up? And yep, that's going to go on the hands of Panda as expected. And now you have to wonder, what is the response from Immortals Academy? They could go with something like Discarding. They could go with something like the Olaf. But the biggest thing is now Immortals get first again. They get first dibs on this bot lane. What do you think they're going to be able to get? Especially if this Thresh up. No! Actually, the Jinx gets locked in, so Hecarim is available as well as the Thresh.
All right, so this is going to be a lot of pressure already onto the Jinx. And Immortals, if they wanted to, they could easily take Hecarim Thresh here, deny that combo away from Wildcard, and put Daption on something like Tahm Kench in order to make sure this Jinx has some safety. It's exactly what they're going to do, as the Shadow Isle synergy shining through here for Immortals Academy, taking both those champions. And Wildcard, something that the most played champion for Daption has been Rell. That's why I mentioned the Rell in the ban list. That's not a great matchup into Thresh. I would expect Daption here to probably go for something like the Tahm Kench. And surprised that Wildcard actually give up that priority for Panda on the Hecarim. His most played has been 8 plays on Udyr, 8 plays on Hecarim. Next most played is Graves at now 4 after that last game. So putting Panda a little bit more out of his comfort zone. Going to have to come up with a different solution into the jungler for Immortals Academy. And would not be surprised if we see the Volibear, a matching draft here. The same opener that Immortals Academy actually had on their blue side in the last game if Volibear does come through here for Wildcard. And that looks like it's going to be the pick for Panda.
There it is. Yep, might as well. And we don't know where that's going for sure, but it's most likely going to the jungle. Something else I do kind of want to point out, Keith on that Jinx last game, consistent leads over Team Luke. They want to take that away from him. So I think that Jinx
Pretty's Orianna here.
Oh, yeah. There it is.
Boom, just like that. Boom. I mean, I have a line now, with the coaches of Immortals, just like easy. But no, we highlighted this champion at the start of the series. In 4 plays, he's 3-1 on it with a 12.3 KDA, and this makes life really tough for Jinx, right? Because it's consistent zone control throughout every team fight, and also combines really well with Hecarim. You just send him in there, follow up with that Shockwave, so Immortals already guaranteeing some man engage with some secondary engage or follow up from their team composition already. And they're going to ban out some counters as well. We saw Quackers Darius game 1. Immortals Academy doesn't want to see it ever again, and I guess I can't really blame them because it did a lot of work in that first game, as Tapoon most likely set up here for a counter pick, so just doesn't want to deal with the Darius. I think that we might see a Victor ban here just to make sure that Orianna's going to have a little bit of a better time. Xeno's most played champion is Syndra, and that could be an option for him in this game as that is going to be up, but most likely going to see another 80 carry ban and then just see what Keith wants to go with. His Ezreal's still up if Immortals wants to continue this theme of kind of outranging the composition of Wildcard. And Kaisa actually is going to get banned away just to prevent some more follow-up coming into the backline from the already very juicy engage that Immortals Academy has for themselves with this Hecarim and Orianna combination they can run.
I'm thinking they might go with something safe like the Xayah, which is still available if Immortals want to do that. Keith has played quite a number of games on that pick if they wanted to. But we'll really have to see on what they decide here. I doubt they pick top.
If you want to get real spicy, go Caitlyn.
Oh, there it is.
Or it's going to be the Ashe. So Tahm Kench feels really good into Ashe Thresh, much like we saw Joey's Tahm Kench in the last game. He can just take Cleanse, shake off the Death Sentence or the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, the ECA, so I like to call Ashe's ult coming out. So it's good safety for the side of Wildcard with Daption. Also the Eat in case anyone else gets hit by any of those abilities. It feels good. But Ashe brings a lot of lane pressure, can match some of the priority of Jinx. As Quacker, he needs a blind pick, and it looks like old reliable, the Bash Brothers here for the side of Wildcard. Renekton, his most played champion throughout all of Amateur, is going to be bringing that one back into the top lane. And it's going to be the Xeno special. He's undefeated on his Sylas so far. Would not be surprised if we see it this game. He already has 2-3 good ults he can grab.
Right. Oh, no, it's going to be the Yuumi mid instead. That's going to get not locked in. Just kidding. It is going to be that perfect size coming in for Xeno here, as we do see the other Yuumi hover. As tradition in the series, I would suppose. But this now allows Tapoon to get a couple of top lane counter picks for himself, but he has to be careful because now there's Sylas on the other team. Maybe he goes for something like the Aatrox, but no, he goes for the Sion instead. So he's going to be opting into that matchup over in the top side now. And, both these compositions kind of scream something different to me, Cubby.
Okay, so this Sion pick, Overall, Immortals, a little bit lower on the damage spectrum, right, with their profile, but what I like about it is that it's going to deny resets coming out from Jinx, and that's going to be the big focus, right? They just want to zone out the Jinx, and they're playing Hecarim into 4 melees, 4 wild cards, so if they're able to control the fight, play off the shockwaves that Pretty's been so solid on throughout the games that we've seen him on this Orianna, not only this split, but throughout his career, and that's how Immortals Academy feel like they can take the cake in this one, and I'm more curious to see if Wildcard can match some of the early game, because we've seen Wildcard, they won the flip game 1, they had a really nice lead. Game 2, they lost the flip, but they have a little bit more priority in the early game with this Volibear Renekton combo. I want to see if they're able to use that to secure some leads across the map, get a little bit of a gold lead, and then push around Immortals on where, like I said, they're a little bit low on the damage spectrum. So if they're able to do that, get some resets for Jinx, this could be the Team Luke pop-off that we're looking to see. We've seen him play pretty well in both games, but they first picked this Jinx. They want to ensure that Team Luke is the one that is able to carry his team across the finish line and into the next series in the losers bracket. All that priority being put on his shoulders. He has been the all-star AD carry, one of the best prospects that we have in Amateur, and it's up to him to carry it through in this Game 3 where everything's on the line.
Team Luke has done it before. He's gotten pentakills in the past that has allowed Wildcard to get that last push into victory. And now it all comes down to this. Folks, we're going to get loaded up into the game here between Wildcard Gaming and Immortals Academy. And now we're going to see who walks away to take on 100 Thieves Academy or who falls and gets eliminated from the Proving Grounds here presented by Verizon. And, no early level 1 in shenanigans here. Thank goodness for that. But we got to keep our eyes on Scuttle Crab here as it will definitely get contested by both these junglers. But something else that we should also mention, both these junglers are able to kind of match themselves in terms of getting that full clear in. I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to handshake. They said, you get the Scuttle on one side of the map, I'll get the Scuttle on the other side of the map. And that's really what's going to come down to. And I think that takes away a lot of potential Scuttle Crab shenanigans we've seen from the previous 2 games.
So something I want to look out for Wildcard is how they might be able to attack Pretty in this mid lane. Silas does get bullied out in this matchup early, but has the ability to chain CC with the Volibear if they're able to burn Flash on Orianna and find themselves on top of Pretty. Xeno trading early before the minions crash the wave tells me that Panda might look to make a play in the mid lane as pretty good trades coming in from Xeno. He is 3-0 on this champion throughout Amateur with a 4.9 KDA, a highlight champion for him, and one of the few carry picks outside of the control mages that we've seen Xeno do exceptionally well on.
Yep, and as this game does continue a little bit, we also do see, the junglers are going to be doing those full clears. And, it's kind of classic and tradition at this point with all these tank junglers being able to clear everything so damn fast. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that. Me on the bot lane here, looking like things are a little bit even here. And Keith on this Ashe, I would imagine he's one of the main voices of Immortals. Him having that experience should allow him to get a lot of fights that you may not normally expect to get. This Ashe probably going to be starting at a lot of things off with Enchanted Crystal Arrow, and we really have to keep our eyes on that when he's able to get that level 6.
Nice Hawk Shot coming out, spotting Panda. I also really like the trinket drop by Pretty. I talked about the gank that Panda could potentially use in the mid lane as he crosses from the bot to top side of his map that is warded out by Pretty. So nice awareness coming out from the mid laner here of Immortals Academy. As we're going to continue to get our full clears done before these crabs spawn. Xeno going to try his best to take as many creeps as he can in this wave that Pretty is stacked up.
Yep, and we are about to see the double Scuttle spawn. Oh, look at this! Panda actually going to opt to ignore his blue and Grom, so that means he won't be level 4 instead. He's going to be going for this top lane dive. We'll have to see if this is successful here. Tapoon right now doesn't really have any mana here. Teleport is available by Pretty, but he is currently stuck in the middle of mid lane here. That's going to be a flash stun coming in for Panda, and now the stack comes to fruition here. Panda is going to be able to get that level 3 ganking over into top lane. That is going to be first blood going over to Quacker.
Clean play, a nice setup from the Amateur team on the blue side. Quacker stacking up those 3 waves, getting the kill onto Sion, who Tapoon, he burned Flash to try and survive that. He now has to burn TP, and the next visit to that top lane could be even deadlier if Panda wants to revisit. Meanwhile...
Oh, pretty Isada mana. Panda actually showing himself here. Still hasn't really done his blue buff, but instead looking to help Xeno get that back in. Will hit level 4, and he does still have his blue buff and Gromp available, so he, you know, does have a pretty healthy pathing for himself. While, you know, Pollock was able to get that back first, does have that Ione Boots of Lucidity there, and maybe the first one to path towards his dragon as it spawns in about 30 seconds.
So that mid lane intervention saves the TP of Xeno, so could potentially, you know, help prevent a more punishing kill coming down as he's able to TP back to lane in the future. He does get harassed out early in this matchup, so conscious decision being made there by the jungler of Wildcard to help out his mid laner instead of accelerating himself in the jungle on the camps. And that's what we like to see out of the Volibear, right? Use that point and click stun early, make something happen, and Panda continues to skip his camps and is now going to be cruising into the top side where Tapoon, he doesn't have flash.
Again, Panda making the revisits to top lane. Tapoon doesn't have any summoners, and Panda on this Volibear right now looking really strong. You know, we talked about the Udyr being a power pick here for Panda here, but, you know, maybe it's just the bear that is all he needs. But meanwhile, in the mid lane, Pretty trying to make a play there. Panda now going to be showing his face around here. Hook will miss, and will not be able to find anything, but Potluck now going to be in a bush waiting for him. Does have the level advantage, but they do have the same items here, and Xeno will continue to take a lot of damage for Pretty, and I think Panda is just going to finally say, all right, I'll go ahead and take this top towers, as it looks like we are going to be hitting a little bit of a pause here. Not really too sure what the issue will be. So far this early game, although quite tame, 2-0 on Quacker has been getting a lot of help in that top side.
Quite tame. The Croc and the Bear have been taking it to the Scion in the top lane, as Tapoon being bullied out early. A lot of resources lost there in the top lane, but it is a Scion. Should be able to bounce back, and thanks to that skirmish that we just saw in the jungle, that should mean that the first dragon does go over to Immortals Academy before the Rift spawns, so they have the opportunity to potentially get the first 2 monster objectives of the game. Be very powerful for themselves, but I like the play from Panda, right? We talked about how he will oftentimes do paths that are a little bit riskier, right? Skipping over those camps, going for the kills, and those 2 top lane timings that he found, beautiful play coming out from both Quacker and Panda, syncing up together on the Renekton, on the Volibear, using those early point-and-click stuns to really punish the Scion, and also doing it with the right wave states, right? Because they stacked the wave, they were able to execute the dive, then the wave was shoving back into the Renekton. They're able to kill Tapoon and then freeze that top wave, which denies him an extra wave of gold and experience. Really good stuff coming out from the young amateur team. And Potluck has been punishing appropriately, much like how we saw in Game 1 when he was on the Udyr, right? Going to the opposite side of the map and taking those camps. But Wildcard, they decided to put a lot of investment into Quacker in the top lane, and now is hopefully we get back into the game sooner than later. We're just going to have to see if Quacker can make that pay off like he did in Game 1 on the Darius.
Yeah, and also on the other side of the rift, we do have to kind of keep in mind our bot lane so far. Now, I think it's been going quite even, you know, nothing really too crazy happening, but that's kind of to be expected when one side has that Tom Kench and the other side has the Thresh. I'm kind of expecting, you know, later on in the game, Joey with the Thresh maybe looking to get some roams. And one of the things I think, you know, is on IMT's mind is that not only do they have to worry about this Renekton, but I also want to see, you know, you don't want Xeno's Silas to really get too ahead. That might cause a lot of issues for your team, especially when you have so many good ultimates to kind of just take away from the side of Immortals Academy. So really got to keep your eyes out on that. I think team fights are going to be super exciting when both these teams are able to kind of just be able to get to that point. But so far, again, taking things low and slow. It's been quite prevalent in this meta where we haven't really seen a lot of crazy action happening, I would assume, over in the early game. Usually the fights will come in when that first repair spawns, or maybe that second dragon. It's going to take time, though, and I'm definitely excited to see on how both these teams will kind of just get themselves prepared leading up to it.
Well, it seems like we're in for a little bit of a longer delay here, so yep. Unfortunately, the tension of Game 3 going to have to build even further as we are dealing with a bit of a PC delay. We're going to have to see if we can fix that one up and make sure that Wildcard's able to get... Wildcard and Immortals Academy are both ready to go. Get back into this one, but... I see the approach coming out early from the side of Wildcard, right? We talked about that Scion, how it's a relatively low damage composition coming out from Immortals. However, the Scion being that big tank, you're going to prevent the resets coming out from Jinx. And that is something where if you put that Scion behind and he isn't able to access those items, yes, he's still going to be useful, but if he's behind, it's not as big of a front line that you have to deal with, and Team Luke is the big key in this match, right? On the Jinx, trying to get as excited as he possibly can to rip through the side of Immortals Academy. I can see the early focus coming out, and the fact that Panda's putting himself behind to make sure that Tapoon's behind and Quacker's ahead could be a point of power that Wildcard have to play with throughout the rest of this early game, where Renekton is really at a strong point.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, we saw earlier what a Renekton can really do when given a huge, significant lead, right? Game number 1 today between Noah and Barrage, Viper on the Renekton was able to just shred that backline, on the side of Barrage. It's kind of similar to this case, right? You got the Orianna, Ashe you kind of have to protect. And if, both pretty immobile, and if this Renekton is able to get on top of both of them, it's just going to look really rough for the team fighting side of Immortals Academy. But however, again, there are tools to kind of stop this Renekton, but right now, Quacker is currently being set up for success. I can't believe I got the support and top players' names mixed up. It's quite crazy. And it's
one's point of Croc, one's point of Toad. It's
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and Quacker giving what he has had so far. We saw what he's able to do under Darius. I'm sure he's able to replicate that onto Renekton, but only time will tell on what will come from it.
Yeah, and Renekton, it has been his most played pick this split. He played it all 3 games actually against Dignitas, where they did go down 1-2, but has been something that he's fallen back on, and also that has really hit their stride because early in the season, he was actually playing a lot of Shen. He's known for his Shen play. And Wildcard, as an average team, they were a great Shen team. Like, their rotations, the fact, like, they did this really cool thing where around the 8-minute mark, they took the Shen and put him bottom lane, so, like, you're guaranteed to get 5 people around the Rift Herald while Shen can still farm a side lane. And they actually would oftentimes gank for the Shen early, because Shen has a lot of early damage and some gank assists, which not a lot of other teams do. Usually you kind of ignore it. But they were making sure that Shen was ahead, and using that as a strong point to, farm 2 waves, get that first Rift Herald, and then snowball the game from there. A lot of Shen bans were drawn by Quacker and Wildcard with their ability to play through that champion. And it's been funny to kind of watch them shift their playstyle, as obviously when you start getting a champion banned away from you quite a bit, you have to try and figure out other things to, win games and be relevant. And this Renekton has really been Quacker's default, because oftentimes he is drawing those Shen and Darius bans. So Renekton, bringing that early power, bringing that early gank assist, and that early lane that Panda can really interact with. In this game, at least, it's been off to a good start. And, man, if he puts up half the performance that Viper did in that game 1 against Barrage, I think they're in really good shape. Because Viper, holy smokes, that game 1 on the Renekton, he was finding every squishy somehow on that champion. I do not know how, but Viper does a lot of things that just kind of leave me scratching my head and going, like, this guy's really good at League of Legends. So, not surprised out of him. But, you see a Quacker can do that with his very fancy 2 accounts in top 100 challenger.
And I just want to remind folks at home, if you are currently tuning into the Proving Grounds podcast or broadcast,
it feels like a podcast now. Honestly.
It feels like a podcast at this point for sure.
We are plugging my podcast, by the way.
Oh yeah, that is true. You do have a podcast known as Proving Grounds podcast. Be sure to tune that one when Cubby does that every once in a while. But
we're talking with Copy tonight.
Yeah, that should be quite exciting. But something that we also do need to mention is that there is currently a pause. We're not too sure what the reason is at the moment, and hopefully it can get resolved as soon as possible. So we are just waiting to see when that issue resolves itself. But in the meantime, let's take some steps back. Let's go down a trip through memory lane. What a crazy season this has been in Proving Grounds, honestly.
Oh wow, we're going way back.
Yeah, starting from January and when the announcement hit, I think everyone was absolutely excited, And I'm sure a lot of people who've been only following the Academy, Amateur is a brand new world of players waiting to be explored, and especially getting this co-op competition between both Academy teams and amateur players. It's been nothing but excitement so far, and especially highlighted in this tournament. It's like we've had so many highlights already. We just had an amazing 2 games from both these teams, and not to mention, it's just been absolutely incredible how much improvement we've seen. One of the things I kind of want to point to back in, I think Tuesday, right? Evil Genius Academy getting that absolute 2-0 stomp over 100 Thieves Academy. I think it goes to show that even though you might be coming in as like one of the bottom seeds coming from a regular season, you still have a lot of room to improve. And I think these 3 months have shown how much everyone in the scene has grown, and it's been absolutely amazing to follow.
I mean, especially for EG, right? Because with that initial 9-game best-of-1 split that Academy had this year, they were in 10th. And they were a team that really benefited from dropping down to the Tier 1s and having to play their way back in. I mean, Giant Slayer, they came out swinging immediately, and I know that the only note that, like, we really had about Evil Geniuses was, like, the early game's good. Sometimes they mess up, like, a few rotations, or, like, one person, you know, like, kind of runs it. And it feels like they fixed that. And EG and NoOrg, for me, are the two teams that it feels like they're really on a collision path to meet each other in that winners finals. We're going to have to see if EG, they have to take down C9 Academy. That will be sometime next week. And then on the flip side, we do have NoOrg. They still have to run through Evil Genius's Prodigies as EG. It's kind of like going back to Giant Slayer itself, right? Where we had the EG Civil War and both Evil Genius's teams qualifying through that tournament. But EG Academy, I mean, both teams' early games between them and NoOrg have just been so incredibly dominant. And I really want to see if those two teams meet, because it feels like I thought that EG versus 100 Thieves Academy would be like the two best early game teams, but 100 Thieves had a couple like really weird setups, like their first 3 waves, or game 1, Demonte like got caught out like on a TP gank, and the Renekton Italy combo in the mid lane was just too much for him to handle after that play. So and also Contracts, man, he is looking like the MVP of the entire tournament. Like, stop giving him Nidalee. In that one single game he played Nidalee, I think it was game 1, I saw like 3 or 4 plays that you could play 1,000 games of Nidalee in solo queue and not get plays that were that good from Contract. He did that all in one game. It was just an absolute highlight reel of a game from him, and his Nidalee has been fantastic. He's been, each day he's played, he's been my MVP on the day. I think it's pretty hard to, not think otherwise, but him going up against Anda, the former jungler for EG Academy as well, I think is a really hype matchup, because Anda has been unanimously the best jungler in Amateur too. And I just want to see those two teams meet. I think that could be a really, really hype winners finals. We take a step back, look at the bracket and the potential matchups that we could have for Proving Grounds.
Yeah, I wonder if we can as well. It's looking pretty exciting, and I really do hope we are going to be in the game back soon. Hopefully we can provide everyone with an update. But either way, it's been an exciting tournament so far. So many different results that kind of popped up. I for one didn't expect CLG Academy to go down so early in the tournament. They came off their win from the last chance qualifiers as that game 3 winner, the 5th game winner, in an exciting best of 5 between them and Barrage. But unfortunately, I think maybe they drew kind of the short stick. 100 Thieves Academy sending them to the lower bracket, and then FlyQuest Academy going to be able to finish the job and knocking out the Torrents. I'm personally excited to see how FlyQuest is doing, and especially, I have some players in mind that I've been super interested in with Nixie and Triple, and I
think FlyQuest is a team that they took second in Northern Arena, a team that featured 8 Academy teams. Team Liquid was actually the one that won it all. Unfortunately, they had an early exit in this one, but FlyQuest has been looking pretty good. I'd say they also play a little bit differently. We've been talking about the dominant early games from NoOrg and EGA. They actually seed a lot of their early games to try and play for later objective control. They're really good at it, so it's kind of fun watching the different styles clash, and especially like at this non-LCS level play where it feels like every team kind of has a unique style that they default to with their bread and butter. It's fun watching those different styles clash, because with the teams not being quite as adaptive with running multiple styles across the rifts or playing through multiple lanes, you get to see different styles clash and teams that are really good at perfecting it, right? Because they've spent so many games trying to work on those strategies. So I think FlyQuest is one where they have a different approach to the game. I really appreciate it. I think they're really good at it, and always, for me, an entertaining team to watch at least.
Yep. Either way, I'm being told that right now we're going to be tossing into a quick break as we get all these issues resolved, and I hope after we're done with the break, we can give you guys a positive update to see if we're going to be able to get back into the series in time. Stay tuned, folks. Don't go anywhere. Proving Grounds, we'll be right back. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Proving Grounds, powered by Verizon. Folks, unfortunately, we do have an update for everyone, and it breaks my heart to say this. Unfortunately, one of the players has had a family emergency, and that will mean we would have to reschedule this match between Immortals Academy and Wildcard Gaming. And more information can be found in the tweets from the LCS official accounts. You can be sure to follow that for more information. It's a bummer, I know, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Hopefully everything gets resolved in a fast and efficient manner. And, it was a great 2 games, and looking forward to hopefully seeing this third out when it gets rescheduled.
Yeah, we're hoping that everything's okay with the player that's going through the family emergency. That said, this will be rescheduled. Stay tuned with LCS Official. If you guys want to catch some more banger League of Legends action, though, this weekend, the Mid-Season Showdown kicks off tomorrow, delivered by Grubhub, and that begins tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to tune in to watch the pros. The top 3 teams are left. They're going to be taking it to each other, and we can see who takes home the trophy at the end of this split and see who represents NA at MSI. So still some exciting league. And really bummed to end this broadcast on for us such a kind of a bummer note, but obviously the player's safety comes first, everyone's safety comes first. We just hope that everything's okay, and excited to see when this game gets resolved, because man, how close were those first 2 games in the Series XT? It was just crazy games being played across the board.
Yeah, and crazy games indeed. But that action will continue next week when Proving Grounds return next Tuesday. We will have, I believe, some lower bracket games to cover. It's going to be very exciting if you are a fan of Amateur and Academy talent. So be sure to support everyone else over here in the Academy stream next Tuesday as well. But, if you're a fan of TSM Team Liquid or Cloud9, who's sitting at the top on Sunday, be sure to tune into the Mid-Season Showdown coming in to see who gets that spot in the Mid-Season Invitational sometime in the upcoming month. And folks, that does mean we will have to end the broadcast today. My name's XT. I'm joined here with Cubby. It's been an absolute blast coming back to the mic, being able to see everyone in the audience, and being able to work with you, Cubby. It's been so much fun. And folks,
not
with that
bad
being
for a
said,
first guest.
Definitely, man.
Yeah,
it's been a while for sure.
It was a lot of fun, man. I appreciate it. And bummer we have to end on this note, but hope you guys enjoyed the games today and all the play that these teams and players delivered. It was pretty high quality matches, so hopefully that can continue as this tournament moves forward.
Yep, definitely. And folks, that's going to do it here. Thank you all so much for watching, and be sure, again, tomorrow, a lot of League of Legends actions to come up, and thank you all so much for watching Proving Grounds. Stay tuned, folks, and have a good night.